Madam Secretary, sorry to belabor this. I know so many people on both sides of the aisle have asked you about the department's decision to remove nursing, teaching, social work, and other critical occupations from the definition of professional degrees and capping their ability to receive federal loans. I know that in my home state of Minnesota, we're expecting to face a shortage of 30,000 nurses in the next 4 years. And I know that your home state of North Carolina, it is expected to see a shortage of 13,000. Our nurses obviously are limited in their capacity, they're overworked, and they're worried. So I know you said the decision is final, but I'm just trying to figure out if you can answer, why did you move forward with an action that you know is going to be creating a problem or worsening a problem that already exists?
What happens when two powerful Washington figures go head-to-head over the future of higher education in America? In a tense congressional hearing, Congresswoman Ilhan Omar challenged Education Secretary Linda McMahon over a controversial policy affecting graduate students in fields like nursing, teaching, and social work. The exchange quickly escalated into one of the most talked-about moments of the hearing, with both women refusing to back down. But here's the question. Was Omar exposing a flaw in the administration's policy, or was McMahon defending a necessary reform designed to control the rising cost of education? Stay with us as we break down every major moment from this heated confrontation, and before we begin, let us know in the comments, should the government increase student loan access or place stricter limits on borrowing? Don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss our latest political analysis.
Madam Secretary, sorry to belabor this. I know so many people on both sides of the aisle have asked you about the department's decision to remove nursing, teaching, social work, and other critical occupations from the definition of professional degrees and capping their ability to receive federal loans. I know that in my home state of Minnesota, we're expecting to face a shortage of 30,000 nurses in the next 4 years. And I know that your home state of North Carolina, it is expected to see a shortage of 13,000. Our nurses obviously are limited in their capacity, they're overworked, and they're worried. So I know you said the decision is final, but I'm just trying to figure out if you can answer, why did you move forward with an action that you know is going to be creating a problem or worsening a problem that already exists?
Well, first of all, let me correct one thing. We did not remove any of these professions from a professional category. They were never characterized in the law, in the statute, as a professional category. So as these caps were put into place, and many professions were then being reviewed as to what constituted a professional category, guided by the definition of a professional degree from Congress. So that was the overview that we looked at as we were writing this new rulemaking, with the overall goal of putting caps in place that are going to reduce the cost of college.
How is that happening?
Well, I have a couple of articles here already that there are colleges.
What do they say?
They are saying that they are looking at reducing the cost of their graduate program.
I know, but looking is not addressing the problem that we're currently seeing. What I am asking you is that you've made a decision that is currently making the problem worse.
That is not correct. Let me push back on that.
Are you saying the numbers in Minnesota that we're seeing or in North Carolina are not real?
Well, what I'm saying to you is there are shortages in those states, primarily in the undergraduate nursing program, which is not affected by this new rule and this new cap. Undergraduate programs are not affected at all by this.
I know,
cap.
but
These are only graduate programs, so the shortage is not a result of this cap being put on. The shortage of nursing is that we don't have enough applicants into the nursing programs that are coming through our universities.
So instead of helping with the problem, you've decided to
No,
make it worse?
I don't think you ran when I talked about another way to get to an RN, an expedited program. You can get a 2-year certificate and then take the exam to become an RN.
My sisters are nurses.
And
I do know how those things work.
and if
I'm
you
asking
do-
you about the specific classification that you created that lowers the cap.
We didn't remove them
That's-
from a professional designation.
I know, but address the cap issue when it comes to the,
I just did because
the
I said it
professions I
does
just
not
talked about.
impact.
But you
the
said you were trying to
undergraduate
lower
program.
the cost of tuition. How does
Absolutely.
that happen?
Because there are already colleges that are lowering the cost of their graduate programs because
What are those colleges?
there's a college in California, University of California in Irvine, and Purdue University in Indiana.
And is it for business or for
They
nursing?
have lowered them right now and for their business programs. I
Yeah,
hope
but we're
that they'll-
talking about nursing, ma'am.
Well, I hope that they'll look at other programs to
Because
reduce their
business is
costs.
not something that you had an impact on.
I don't have control over which programs they're doing, but if they have fewer applicants coming into their universities and they realize part of the reason is because their cost is too high, they will lower those costs.
I don't think that is how it works.
It is exactly how it
That is
works.
not how it works.
It is
Your
it is supply
specific
and
job
demand. It is supply
your
and
specific
demand.
job is to try to make sure, as the head of the Department of Education, to make education accessible for Americans. When you create policies that make education unreachable for Americans that want that education, then you are failing at your job.
No, when there have not been caps on programs and universities have been allowed to charge whatever they wanted, and the student loan program allowed them to borrow up to whatever that university said was the cost, it was time to take action and to put caps in place that are going
Yeah,
to
but your caps only create a funnel through the private borrowing system.
That's not true.
Yes, that is what it will do. How else would somebody,
putting
if
the
I wanted to get a professional degree
Ah.
and I'm capped and I can't borrow, then I have to, from a public source, then I have to go private.
And
And that is what your administration is really trying to do, is trying to
No.
help enrich others on the backs of the American people.
For years, Americans have debated the growing cost of higher education. Tuition has continued to rise, student debt has reached staggering levels, and policymakers on both sides of the aisle have struggled to find solutions. That broader debate came into sharp focus during this hearing. Representative Omar began by highlighting concerns about workforce shortages, particularly in nursing. She pointed to projections showing significant shortages in states like Minnesota and North Carolina over the coming years. Her argument was straightforward. If the country already faces shortages in critical professions, why implement policies that could make it harder for students to finance advanced education in those fields? Omar repeatedly pressed McMahon on this point, asking why the Department of Education would move forward with a policy that, in her view, risks worsening an already serious problem. McMahon responded by pushing back on the premise of the question. According to the Secretary, the professions being discussed were not removed from any special category because they were never classified that way under existing law. She argued that the administration was simply applying statutory definitions while implementing reforms aimed at addressing another major problem: skyrocketing college costs. The exchange quickly became a clash of competing philosophies. Omar focused on access. McMahon focused on affordability. Omar argued that limiting federal borrowing could reduce opportunities for students seeking careers in essential professions. McMahon argued that unlimited borrowing has encouraged universities to raise tuition without sufficient accountability. Both perspectives reflect concerns shared by many Americans. On one hand, students need pathways into important careers. On the other hand, families continue to struggle with the burden of rising education costs. As the hearing continued, Omar repeatedly asked how these loan caps would actually lower tuition. McMahon pointed to examples of institutions reportedly considering reductions in graduate program costs. But Omar remained unconvinced, arguing that discussions about possible future reductions did not address immediate challenges facing students today. This disagreement became the centerpiece of the hearing. One side argued that borrowing limits could create pressure for universities to lower costs. The other argued that such limits could simply shift students toward private lending options. At this point, we'd like to hear from you. Do you believe loan caps encourage colleges to become more affordable, or do you think they simply create new barriers for students pursuing professional careers? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Your perspective helps shape future discussions on this channel, and if you're enjoying this analysis, please take a moment to like the video and subscribe. What made the exchange particularly notable was how neither side backed away from its position. Omar continued emphasizing potential consequences for future nurses, teachers, and social workers. McMahon continued emphasizing the need for structural reforms that address tuition inflation. The debate reflects a larger national conversation that extends far beyond a single hearing room. Americans continue to ask difficult questions. Why does college cost so much? Who should bear responsibility for controlling those costs? What role should government loans play in expanding educational access? And how can policymakers balance affordability with opportunity? These are questions that have no easy answers. Regardless of political affiliation, many Americans can understand concerns on both sides of the debate. Students want affordable pathways to success. Taxpayers want responsible use of federal resources. Universities face pressure to maintain programs while managing costs. Policymakers must navigate all of these competing priorities. That reality explains why exchanges like this often generate strong reactions. They touch issues that affect millions of families across the country. As lawmakers continue debating these policies, the outcome could influence educational opportunities for years to come. What do you think? Did Omar make the stronger case for protecting student access, or did McMahon present a convincing argument for reforming the student loan system? Leave your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoyed this balanced breakdown, please like the video, subscribe to the channel, and share this video with friends and family. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.